Welcome to the Celtics Rewind. I'm JP.
And I am Nat The GM. What's up, y'all?
Hey, Celtic fans. This is episode 22 of the Celtics Rewind, talking all things Boston Celtics. JP, the franchise is here. Got my co-host, Nat the GM. Nat, what's going on?
What's going on? It's good. It feels good to be 3-1, you know?
Yeah, we're in a real good situation, better than the other teams right now that is going 2-2. So we're in a much better situation right here. So let's
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and talk about these Boston Celtics. Let's go ahead and talk about game two. And obviously the past couple playoff series,
Mm-hmm.
especially in game twos, the Boston Celtics usually lose game two and don't play the best and everything. So right after the podcast, the Celtics play the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers mollywopped the Boston Celtics pretty badly in game two, which I kind of like figured a little bit just because they don't play good on game twos. But then I knew Cleveland
Mm-hmm.
was going to get one eventually, but didn't know which game it was. What were your thoughts? What was the things that the Celtics did poorly in game two?
It's always going to go back to their defense. The defense was just not good closing in on these shooters. I mean, if you look, Donovan Mitchell, 5 of 7 from three, 4 of 5 for Garland. Struess got up 7. He only made 2, but he got him up, and he was still a plus 23. You allow Garland to go 14. And 7 and 4. It's not big numbers, but he was a plus 20 still. And he was 5 of 8 from the field. So that means he took quality shots and he made quality shots because all of his shots but one came from the 3 point line, and then Donovan Mitchell just couldn't miss from three. So no one from the bench made any threes, but you allowed Levert to come in and get 21 off the bench. Going to the other side, with Boston. Tatum, 2 of 5 from three, 25, 7 and 6, it's decent, but then you got to look at Drew Holiday. He didn't have a good showing. You look at Derek White, he's been struggling a little bit as of late. And I think it's more so has to do with just, probably just doing too much and trying to get yourself going with the threes because he shot 8 threes, only made one. And he doesn't need to do that, to step in, take some twos, and I think he needs to learn that as time goes on. JB, 19 points. I mean, real pedestrian. And then the bench, Pritchard had 13 and it was stagnant. I also don't like how uh, Joe is, rolling out the bench. I don't think that everyone's playing that should be playing. And you talk about Tillman not playing nearly as enough that he needs to. Want to see some more Luke Cornett. Pritchard's good. And then you got Hauser. So, I think that they've been a good adjustment team. Game one, they steamrolled Cleveland. Game two, a team adjusts, and that's what you expect. And then Boston, by that time, has their number and they understand what to do. So that's why they go on. They have a little bit more success. So that's how I see it.
I agree with you 100%. I also looked at it in terms of the rebounding and points in the paint category. Not just Donovan Mitchell having a wonderful game, and also the others. Karis LeVert, he had me singing Casanova for the night. Before the people that know LeVert, he had me singing Casanova just for game two right
Yeah.
there. So, um, but Evan Mobley had a really good game.
Yep.
People been kind of like, I love Evan Mobley. I love what he brings to the table, and I always said that he's gonna be really good, but he's just missing something. It's just something that he's just missing. He's just so inconsistent. He's a good defensive player, but if he could get his offense together like some way, because it's just something missing from him for being like like an all-star caliber type of player. Because I believe in him, but he had a really good game too. in terms of the rebounding, 44-31, whoever wins the rebounding battle is going to win the game most likely. And also, the Cavaliers just killed the Celtics at points in the paint, 60-44, and the Celtics didn't shoot well from the 3-point line at 22.9%. So it was just Cleveland's night. Cleveland shot a lot better than we did, and it was just kind of just a sluggish bad game for the Boston Celtics, though. But we did make adjustments. We did make changes in Game 3, and we got the victory in Game 3 very, very luckily and stuff. Usually, the Celtics will win by like 10, 20 points and everything. So it was a really good bounce back Game 3 for the Boston Celtics. What did you see in terms of the changes in Game 3 that Boston did really well on that helped them win Game 3?
Well, number one, the rebounding issues, 44 to Boston's 31 in Game 2 was atrocious. That can't happen. For Boston, you got to be able to, out rebound, your opponent. And then if you go to Game 3, they did just that. 44 rebounds for Boston, 35 for Cleveland. And then 3-pointers, 38% for Boston, Cleveland 33%. And then 51% altogether for the team as a total, and then only 42% for Cleveland. So they turned it around, and I like how they respond, to adversity, and that's what they've been doing. Last year, I think that they would have dropped at least 2 or 3 games. There would have been a couple of Game 7s coming up, or Game 6s. It doesn't need to get there. You take care of these teams, and I don't mind them going out and taking these teams out in 5. I don't mind that. It's like I don't expect some of these teams to lose all the games. I think everybody's good enough to win one game, and that's what's happening. So I think they'll take care of business, coming back home. But this was just a better effort from Boston altogether. I mean, you look, from the field, Jason Tatum, he gets out of that shooting slump. He's not hitting well from 3, but he doesn't need to. Excuse me. Jason Tatum is one of those guys where he can go 1 of 8 from 3, 2 of 8 from 3, and then still be efficient from the field. He gives you 33, 13, and 6. Fantastic numbers for Jason Tatum. This is something that he should be able to do on a nightly basis, at least 30 points. The rebounds, he's the best rebounder. He needs to continue to do that. And the assists, I want to see him at 6 or 7 to 7 assists, because when he play makes, it creates such an advantage for this team, when he does so. Brown had it going, 28 points, fantastic. 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Next person, Holiday had a fantastic game. He was on.
I love it. Yes.
When Drew Holiday, he's one of my favorites. When Drew Holiday chooses to score, people forget that he's been a scorer for his entire career. He can score the ball, but he doesn't need to on this team. But when he does, he creates such a disadvantage to the other team, because it's like, well, shit, I got to guard Drew Holiday too, when he's cooking and he can get to the rim. He can shoot the 3. Mm-hmm. He has a mid-range. He has a nice mid-range when he goes to it. It's just great. And then Derek White wasn't really needed. He had 12 points, 3 of 8 from 3, 4 of 13 from the field. And then Horford, he's your defensive anchor. He's one of the hearts of this team. 2, 7, and 2. He didn't need to do much. And, they win by 13. So it was a great bounce back game. But I think they're starting to understand how to make adjustments. And that should be a recipe for success moving forward.
I agree with you 100%. I looked at the Jason Tatum field goal attempts. He attempted 25 shots. I was like, woof.
Yes.
I was like, the aggressive Tatum, I like right there. I like when he's aggressive and all that. And, he only had 8 3-point attempts, and most of his shot making came in the mid-range, post area, going into the paint. I was like, this is the Jason Tatum we need to see for him to get a double-double to help us win. Because you said, he's the best rebounder on the team by far. And it was just great to see Drew Holiday having, a throwback type of game, because people tend to forget Drew Holiday was an all-star caliber player, can score the basketball too as well, and can do it in so many different ways. Not really so much help from the bench, unfortunately, though, but it's okay. Jaylen Brown had a good game too as well. So whenever Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown get it going as a duo, it's hard to stop. So that was a really good Game 3. And like you said, the rebounding battle, Boston won that one, and also in points in the paint, they only won by 2, but that's still good right there in itself. And then now going to Game 4, well, some people was like, okay, Cleveland might get a shot. Cleveland might win this game. You got other people saying Boston should get them in 5 games and all that. It was actually a closer game, than the other games in the series and stuff. It's the first time in the playoffs that the Boston Celtics won by single digits, because usually they beat teams by double digits. And this one was without Donovan Mitchell. This was a different Cavaliers team. So what takeaways did you get from the Celtics in Game 4? Because it seems like at times, like, they play really good basketball, and then like they start going on cruise control, and then Cleveland goes on these ridiculous runs to make it close, because Cleveland's like an unserious team, but like they end up getting in close games just because Boston's just on cruise control, and then they turn it back on, and then will blow you out. So what takeaways do you have from Game 4 that the Celtics did well, and also what they need to work on?
Another good game for Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, steps up again, shooting great from the field, 16, 7, and 5 with 3 steals and a block. He filled up the stat sheet right there. Only 2 turnovers, which was great. Another great Tatum game, 33, 11, and 5 with 2 steals and a block. He's another guy, filled up the stat sheet. 27 for Brown with 8 rebounds and 1 assist. And then White is struggling, which is what I kind of thought was kind of like why they didn't win in double digits. White struggles. He's been struggling the past few games. Only had 5 points, but I mean, he's shooting it, but not a lot. 1 of 6, from the field, and then 1 of 4 from 3. So he only made a 3 essentially, and then a couple, free throws. White's going to have to get up more shots. There's no need for him to be under 10, I think, attempts. I think he needs more attempts than that. 6 is not enough for a guy that can produce the way that he does. So I would love to see that, and, he's another guy. He got a steal still, he got a few assists, 7 rebounds, which is rebounding is a big deal, but yeah, more shots for Drew, not Drew, D White is what I would like to see. Horford does what he's supposed to do, 6 and 6. You don't need nothing big from him, but Luke Cornett coming off the bench, 9 points. Luke Cornett does he gets a loud single digit number. It's a loud one because it's usually from a putback or he lost the guy, that his defender, and he gets those points. So his points are very important because they're loud. It doesn't have to be flashy, but they did something in the game, So 9 points.
It's an impact.
Yeah, it's impact. He's very impactful. He bothers everyone's shot. Love his size. I think that he plays the right way all the time, and he doesn't hurt you, and that is huge to have coming off the bench. You only go 3 deep this time, and 9 and 6 for Luke, and 11, 1 and 1 for Pritchard. These are important numbers, important stats, important points. Because you can go to your guys and get 22 points off the bench. That's important. And then on Cleveland side, there's no D Mitch this game, but Garland goes off for 30, so usually when Garland goes off, without looking, I say he must have been hitting threes, and he only hit 4. That's the thing, but he shot 13 of them. So he was getting those shots up, and he went 12 of 27 from the field, and he only had a couple free throws, but he got 30 points. 30 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. I mean, he was cooking, it's a crazy game when you look at it because the bench really didn't give them much, but then you got to look around.
No, not at all.
Yeah, they didn't give him a lot, but then you got to look around. LeVert started in the place of D Mitch. He gave you 19, 5, and 3 with 2 steals, 1 block. He filled the stat sheet, So then you look again. He only went 1 of 8 from 3. The guy that had it going was Max Strus. Max Strus with 5
Yes, he did.
threes.
Yes, he did.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
So I look at this game. Yes, they won, and I had no doubt they would win. But you got to close out on these 3-point shooters. That is the only thing I worry about, is just the closing out on these 3-point shooters. Stop
Yeah.
allowing guys to get
Mhm.
comfortable to shoot. So that's kind of what I
Yes.
saw. But other than that, it was still a solid game for the team. You can't really do much when, if Garland's got it going on, the points got to come from somewhere, so
It has to.
it has to come from somewhere. So I don't mind that.
Yeah.
And then, Mobley with the modest 19-9-3. So all around good game. And I'm glad we're up 3-1.
Yeah, I'm happy too as well. And for everybody saying that it was going to be the Dean Wade show in game number 4, unfortunately, it wasn't. I'm so sorry about that. But the game wasn't
He had
really
3 points.
important. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, Dean Wade. Yeah, nah. There's no show. But the game wasn't really important that evening.
No.
Because somebody else was in the building that took away all the attention from the game.
Yes.
And I'm just like, why would you do this during this game? You could have went to any other game, but you had to come to this game. We're talking about LBJ, LeBron James. He was in attendance last night with his wife and Rich Paul, and got a real big standing ovation in Cleveland. I love that too as well, for him to get a standing ovation. But man, we're not talking about you right now. We're talking about the Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. You could just stay at home. Just stay at home. Just stay at home. Just please.
It's a method to his madness, though.
It's always is, because he always got to have the attention from somewhere. It's always something that he's just working on, and then it comes out in a couple weeks. So
I think it's because he's probably thinking about going back to Cleveland. That's what I think. I think that his tenure in LA is over, and I think what's going to happen, over the summer, is you're going to see a blockbuster trade, and it's probably going to send D Mitch, to LA, and LeBron, back to Cleveland, and he's going to probably finish out his last, couple years or year, in Cleveland, because he likes storylines, he likes to
Yeah,
make
he
you think
does.
about it. You get drafted to your home team, and with Cleveland, then you go to Miami, win, you want to come back. So you come back, then you go play for a team like Kobe's team, essentially. LA will always be
Yeah.
Kobe's home,
Yep.
and now that's a story. So there's a story in the start of a story. There's you get drafted by your home team. The decision then comes from Miami about 7 years later, you know, and then you go back home. It was a big story. Then you go to LA.
Yep.
All these are stories. So I think to
Mhm.
complete his circle, he's gonna go back home and finish up there. I think the East looks very different than what he remembers. But I think that's what we're gonna see, a blockbuster trade that's gonna send D Mitch to LA. Probably D Mitch and another piece to LA, and that's how they're gonna probably move forward. In LA with a younger
That would be
piece.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. LeBron going back to Cleveland to finish out his career and stuff. And he also wants to play with the Sun one more time. And we are hearing the news of the Lakers possibly might draft Bronny James, but maybe Cleveland might draft Bronny James, and then LeBron just happens to pull the strings and say, "Yeah, let me go ahead and go back to Cleveland." You also do want to play with Darius Garland too, as well, because he likes Darius Garland.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what the storyline going to be coming up for LeBron James. So that's going to be the biggest. It does. It really does make sense for him to come back home, though. But happy he was in attendance. Also with the Celtics winning the rebounding battle. Like I said, if you win the rebounding battle, you're mostly going to win the game. 48-32 too as well. Cleveland beat us in points in the paint, though. We still committed like 15 turnovers. They got to take care of the ball just a little bit more, though. But we did end up, giving away like a lot of points over to the Cleveland side. So we'll see what happens. Now, in terms of Game 5, which happens going to be tomorrow night as this podcast is recording, do you see the Celtics finishing it out in Game 5, or do you think that Cleveland might have something up their sleeve for it to be pushing to Game 6 at Game 6?
I think this is over tomorrow. You know, I think Boston wants to get it over with, wants to get it done. They want to rest. They want to prepare for whichever team they face, whether it be New York or Indiana. KP is looking good. He's been out approximately 2 weeks now,
Yes.
and I think he'll be back probably for that third round. I don't think they need him for that third round. I'll be very honest. I think they
Mm.
can win without him, but I think that the finals they'll absolutely need him. So take as much time as
Yeah.
you need, but I think they get it done. I think they win by about 15 to 20, and then they go on rest mode. Because now you gotta wait. For the other series to finish up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Boston's game tomorrow for them to rest up too as well. And speaking of the other series, New York versus Indiana, how much momentum has changed because everybody was seeing that New York won the first two games, and then OG gets hurt, Mitchell Robinson gets hurt. Just they are just being short staffed with injuries, and then Indiana just has just incredible two straight games at home, especially that fourth game where they just blew out New York. I did not expect that to happen and stuff. And then they're facing each other tonight right here for game 5. I did tell Sean with the W, shout out to him, that I
Mhm.
think the Knicks is going to win game 5 because it's always interesting in this series that the home team always win the home game. So I don't see it breaking any apart soon and all that. So what's your thoughts about this series, and who would you rather not see in the Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and the Pacers?
I don't. It doesn't matter which one we see. I think it's just a matter of if we win in 5 or 6. I think if it's New York, it's six
Okay.
games we win. I think if it's Indiana, it's 5. Um,
Okay.
when it comes to this particular series, I think that Indiana would be a great matchup only because there
Mm,
is a generational whistle that Brunson gets that would be very
mm.
annoying to play for a 7 game series because you can't play ball. It's almost like he just
Yeah.
dumps himself and he goes to the line. I really don't want to deal with a series like that. You just want to deal with one that just let them play, and that's just not a series that's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of tic tacky fouls. I can already see it, and it'll be boring. Um, but it creates. But this is the thing: that series, Boston versus New York, creates. The big story. Big city, big city. It's like 2-storied franchises. Then you're gonna play in both
Hmm.
gardens and everything. It's gonna be
Hmm.
great. But I actually do think that Indiana is going to win this series because
Me too.
Halliburton is waking up now, and I think he's feeling better.
Hmm.
That was really all they're waiting for, and I think that
Yeah.
Thibodeau, he runs his guys in the ground, and they
Yeah.
short circuit, honestly, and that's
Yep.
what you're seeing. So, guys are getting hurt. No, go figure. You have
Yep.
like 3 or 4 guys out right now. You don't forget my guy Randall. He's been out for a
He's
few
out.
months. Mitchell is out. OG is out. They're running rampant now. So now they're like, all right, I'm tired, and now you get injured. So I don't think he utilizes his bench in the minutes properly. So
No, he doesn't.
yeah, I think that if you look on the other side with Indiana, they actually run their team perfectly when it comes to the
Yeah.
bench. I can depend on the Indiana Pacers bench. That is probably my
Yeah.
favorite bench left in the playoffs. Is because they
Hmm.
can come in and each like a few guys can give you 10, maybe 12 with 7 rebounds or 10 rebounds.
Yeah.
That is like a flex to be able to go to your bench and keep it going or get you going. So
Hmm.
I think that they were just waiting on Halliburton to get, more uh more rest and, more healed and more comfortable because now he's going off for 30. He's playing really well now. And then you got Pascal over there, Miles Turner's playing well. They just have a lot of guys. They just go out and
Yeah.
play. They don't really got nothing to lose, to be honest with you. And those teams are the scariest to play, the guys that just don't have nothing to lose. So I think Indiana's gonna get this done. It might take 7, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win the next 2.
I wouldn't be surprised either, to be honest with you. Yeah, Indiana's one of those teams. Indiana's the team I do not want to face, though. Even though they're bad defensively, their offense makes up so much for it. And
Hmm.
Boston usually struggles with the Indiana's pace because they be going like that. Like they're hitting the fast breaks, and Boston is getting tired, or they're not hitting the threes, and they have to run back because you have to deal with Halliburton. You got to deal with Obi Toppin coming out of nowhere. TJ McConnell is having a hell of a series. I love TJ
Yeah.
McConnell, and you
Yep.
got him, the Siakam. You have Miles Turner. You got so many different guys on that Indiana team that like could just get off and stuff like that. So they're
Hmm.
one that team I'd rather do not face though. I'd rather face New York. Now everybody, from Chris from HoopSpaces to like most
Hmm.
Knicks fans is like, well, if the New York Knicks is healthy,
Yeah.
they don't want to see New York. And I put out a tweet the other day after they got blown out by Indiana. I was like, are you sure the Knicks want to face the Boston Celtics at this point? Because Boston would mollywop them in the Eastern
Yeah.
Conference Finals, and I hate that they're not healthy and stuff like that. But we had success against them this season, even though that one game we lost. That's just because we was on cruise control. We didn't have nothing else to prove. They did. So I'm not really worried about the Knicks at all, but the Pacers and that pace, yeah, I'm worried about that. But I still think Boston will win and go straight to the finals and stuff. And you said something earlier that was really interesting. You said do not play Porzingis until the finals, just to have him rest up.
Hmm.
And I'm like, so what happens in a situation? I'm just being devil's advocate. Like one of these
Hmm.
situations where Boston's down like two games to one, or 3 games to one. Is it worth the risk of playing Porzingis just to get the Celtics out of that Eastern Conference to go to the finals?
Um, they have no business being down 2-1 or 3-1. I'll tell you that. I will be very honest with you. If they go down 2-1 or 3-1 to anybody, you don't deserve to go to the finals. That is your fault, and I think it has nothing to do with KP. You've disgraced, your team jersey and your city. That's a disgrace. Um, you still shouldn't need him. This is the thing. You guys have done this before. You've been here before. We know what to expect. All right. We've been here. We've been here together now. We've grown up with you now. You know, at this time, you need to know what to do at this point.
Yes.
You should understand your defense is the key. You can score on anyone.
Yes.
Your defense has been the problem. You should be,
Yep.
your defense should be tenacious. You should be, getting after it at all costs. Like full court pressure, just making everybody uncomfortable, getting in everyone's space so they just can't get a shot off. They can't get comfortable in, getting a shot off. These are the things. If you do that, you don't need KP until the finals, because then
Mm-hmm.
talent and execution is going to be the name of the game. Because if the series, Minnesota Denver goes, however, I don't foresee Dallas or OKC beating either one of those teams. So I think that the team
Nah.
going to the finals is actually between Denver and Minnie, um,
Yep.
in which Minnie just lost momentum and now Denver has a groove. So that might be pretty much a wrap. But definitely versus those two teams, you are going to need KP. Um, so if he's healthy and he comes back next round, okay. But as long as he feels good and if you are 95 to 100%, you come back. But if you are not at
Mm-hmm.
least 95%, right, then you don't come back. You wait, because if, let's say, he's missing, the whole third round, but then that extra rest, for the finals, he's ready game one and he's rejuvenated. That means he's ready to go. He hasn't played since round
Of
one.
course. Of
So
course.
don't waste it. If he's healthy, let him play. But if he's not, it's okay. We don't need him.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting, and hopefully it doesn't come to that and stuff. Now, if it does, if he is 100%, if he thinks he's ready to play and stuff, you play him, but just make sure that he is on limited minutes. Don't play him too much because the risk of injury is there, and I do not want that to happen. We want KP healthy for the finals so that we can beat whoever
Hmm.
is coming out the West, whether it be Minnesota or Denver. Now, if Dallas comes out there, I will not be surprised if they pull some miracle out the bag and stuff like that, or AKC. So, giving them the benefit of the doubt, but it's mostly going to be Denver or Minnesota, though. But it
Right.
is what it is. So we'll see what happens. But this has been
Absolutely.
episode 22 of the Celtics Rewind. I'm JP, the franchise. She's Nat the GM. Go Celtics. Let's go ahead and close this out. We'll go to the Eastern Conference Finals, beat whoever. Let's get to the finals, and then we're gonna keep rolling with the podcast and all that. So, um, see y'all later. Peace out.
Later, guys.